Welcome back to the Scale Ready CEO podcast. If you have seen episode 1, we spoke about what really separates operation management from CEO thinking and why scale begins when you step away from your day to day decision making.
And that episode really hits home for many founders. Some of them were really texting that, yeah, I'm convinced that I need to think like a CEO. But what are the next step on a scale ready CEO journey?
Exactly. And that next is what we are going to talk about today. It's delegation. Because even if you have clarity, but still all the approvals, all the processes, they're still running through you. You are still not the CEO. You are the center point of your command center. You're controlling everything. You are basically the controlling officer. So that's not the CEO role what we aim for.
I remember from last podcast we talked about detachment that you want to scale up as a CEO, then you really need to learn the art of letting go. So are we going to talk about like letting go strategically rather than being emotional onto every decision?
So that is what emotionally business management does happen when we are too stuck to it. So detachment is the key here. You delegate without dependency. You run trust through your system, not through people. We are not dehumanizing the business, but we are bringing the rhythm in the business, the systems in the business that by default generate trust. So we are going to talk in detail at the later stage when I walk you through about the processes, but that's in crux is about delegation without dependency.
I think here we can talk about where the most journeys start. As we know about scale ready CEO journey, so the first phase is about founders phase. But before in
Yeah.
previous podcast, we talked about the mindset they need to build. So today, shall we start with founders phase? What they need to do, what
Right.
exactly they need to think like, and what are the action items for them to take away?
Right. So when you start a business, at the very beginning of your business, you're still establishing your customer base. You're still finding out what product, what service works for best. At that time, you need to be a every hat. आप ही सेल्स हेड होगे, आप ही कस्टमर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव भी होगे. You're also going to take care of your admins as well. Everything you are going to be the owner of it. You are the one who is responsible. But the moment your
Mm.
business gets stabilized, you have the fixed customer set coming up, you have the profits defined, you have a stable business. Maybe down the line in 3, 4 years, you get the stabilization done. That's when the time to step up to be the scale ready CEO. Your role has to evolve. Now you're no longer the business founder, you are the CEO of a big empire. That's how you need to envision. But problem kya hota hai? Most founders still stuck like they are working on the day one of their business. They're still holding back everything. And that is where, that scale demands shift of your mindset as well as the role you operate. From running departments to building leaders, second generation leader who will lead your business efficiently. And if you're leading a second generation business, there also it gets more clearer. Your department should work efficiently. Your operations head, your second line of leadership, they are making sure the efficiency of the departments is there. And as a CEO, you're making sure that those departments are working effectively. We talked a lot about efficiency and effectiveness, right? So once the stable
Yeah.
business is there, you're no longer taking care of efficiency. That has to be done by the second line of leadership. As a CEO, you make sure that the business departments are effective.
I believe this is a transition from doing everything right to building people who do the right things.
Yep, spot on. I think that is where the delegation begins, not as a task transfer, but as a power structure redesign. Your second line of leadership is empowered. Your employees feel empowered in making decision, in getting things done.
And I recently had a conversation with one of MSME founders that they were telling they have delegated everything, but still they feel like they are owning every decision to them. So, like, is there any reason, specific reason that this might be happening so they can really address that and move to the next stage?
That is where, I will say, उनको लगता है कि they are delegating, but it is disguised as control. So they are giving away the work, but not the ownership. And that's why delegation is never successful there. The true delegation is not about getting help on your work. You are actually, building capacity of your team. So if your team can execute but do not decide, then you have not delegated, you have only delayed the work because they're still coming back to you for decisions. So that's the bridge you need to cover. MNCs delegate with authority. You delay because you are only assigning tasks but not giving them the decision power.
Really, I think it's a rhythm in delayed and delegation also, because they don't know which line they are falling into. But where do founders really go wrong with delegation?
So, yeah, they go wrong in three places: clarity, structure, and rhythm. Let's talk in detail about these. So, clarity is you have given them the task, they don't know what done right looks like. They have just been said, ki ye kar do. How you are checking and what they are perceiving, it's completely different. So we are not on the same page. Second is about you have assigned the task and you have forgotten for 2 months. Suddenly you remembered and then you are asking them to review. Then 3 months, nobody is asking about that. Whereas rhythm is completely missing. Whereas in MNC, the weekly reviews, they are part and parcel of every department. They are not missing out on any red flags because those reports, those reviews, they show up. So rhythm actually builds the trust. That is the third one, right? If your member is not there, somebody is going to build that report, and that report is going to be reviewed by the second line of leadership. But in MSME, how things are moving, reports are being asked once in a while, are being reviewed when there is always like, firefighting situation again, then you want to review the report. But otherwise, if it is a calm water, no questions asked, no red flags, people take a bath seat and there are no weekly reviews happening. The trust doesn't get built up and you only have a people dependency at that time. You know that person is going to bring the report and that is the person your go-to person is. But in MNC, we rely completely on structure, rhythm, and then the trust that yes, this report will be available and the data coming in is accurate, and the information what I get to see as a CEO gives me the real picture of my business, whether my business is failing or whether my business is doing really better. I have my profits getting stuck upcoming month or not. So you have the real visibility without losing control. So these three parameters a founder can work, then that's the absolutely, the what I call treasure for them. But before that, if they're not doing these three, their leadership stagnates. You can't scale if you want control over everything and freedom from everything. One has to give.
These three are a stepping stone to find that treasure, which is we are calling leadership: clarity, structure, and trust. So if
Right.
we dig deep down on these three pillars: clarity, structure, and trust, how do a scale ready CEO delegate differently?
So when I talk about MNCs or the founders who are actually on the scale ready CEO journey, they delegate by design. There are three layers to it again. So layer one is about defining your outcome. What do you expect from that particular task? Do not define the task. You have to define the outcome. If I give example to the sales team, if you're telling them call 20 people daily, that's the task what you are doing. But what is the idea behind the task? You need to have at least 10 qualified lead every week. That's the goal they are aiming for. So defining the goal versus defining the task, they need to understand the difference. Second is about visibility without you. If you are in the system asking for a report and they are giving it, that is because you are driving it. If you step out of the system, the reporting is still being done every week, and that has to be done accurately. It should not be like कि आपको काम कहा गया है बस करके डालने, nobody is looking at it. That trust doesn't build up accordingly. That so dashboard, tracker, review sheet, they make result visible without your presence. If performance only exists when you ask, then it is not delegation. Third is about review rhythm. So, weekly for team leads, monthly for strategy. Fix your intervals and create autonomy and accountability in your team. Once these three layers are addressed, you will be able to see the difference.
If we conclude all three put together, I think we are talking about a flow. So outcome really sets the vision when we are delegating something. Second, visibility, where dashboards are helping us, tracking systems are helping us. Third, we are talking about the rhythm. Are everything set up in a step-by-step process instead of we are jumping from one point to another and another. Here, I think the rhythm replaces supervision. Instead of we are just
Exactly.
supervising things, we are helping to flow it through system.
As a CEO, remember you are there to manage rhythm. You're not there to send reminder. That's the major
And
shift you need to make.
And I often say that in many of webinars you have done recently, you were talking about building trust into systems, not into people. If you could break this down a little more.
So it means आपका जो business है वो structure पे काम करता है. It's not on the sentiment. It's not the gut feeling you have. You have the valid data points to look at to decide. It's not the emotional being of yourself deciding for your business. So अगर आपकी business the structure है, you have your reviews defined, you have your metrics defined and roles defined, trust जो है that becomes operational, not emotional. अगर आपका सिस्टम गारंटी करता है कि देयर इज अ वीकली रिपोर्टिंग गोइंग टू हैपन, you don't need to trust somebody to remember that because it is by default inbuilt in your system. And that's what structure does. That's how professional organization build consistency. Predictability replaces the dependency on individual people.
Is it the real secret behind MNCs? Because when people leave, people resign in a small business or MSME, if we specifically talk about the whole production line, can really see the effect. They start to settle around. So, what are the
Yeah.
secrets that skill ready CEO knows that MNCs use?
So yeah, MNC replaces people so easily. कोई रिजाइन करता है वहां पे, बट देयर इज ऑलवेज समबडी टू स्टेप अप एंड नथिंग इज गोइंग टू स्टॉप फॉर एमएनसी. उनका प्रॉफिट जो है वो कभी डिप नहीं करेगा बिकॉज पीपल रिजाइन. उनकी डेडलाइंस दे डोंट मिस इट. द कस्टमर गेट द राइट प्रोडक्ट एट द राइट टाइम. सो हाउ डज दैट हैपन? दैट्स द की सीक्रेट. इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि उनके वहां पे लोग ज्यादा लॉयल हैं या ज्यादा टैलेंटेड होते हैं बिकॉज दे आर हायरिंग पीपल फ्रॉम बिग इंस्टीट्यूट एंड ऑल दैट. यस, दैट इज पार्ट. बट दोज पीपल ऑल्सो रिजाइन एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, राइट? They are not sticking back to the
Exactly.
organization. They are not the loyal employees that they are going to spend their entire lifetime, because there are systems in that MNC. MNC operates on system and which is stronger than any single person. अगर उनका कोई specialized skill resource भी है, they make sure that it is interchangeable. They create replica of that specialized skill person so that one person, if that leaves, your organization is not going to come to standstill. And that is what MSME needs to learn. Every role has a shadow, every process has a rhythm, and every leader has a ready second line of leadership. That's how you run the well oiled machine. आपके केस में अगर मैं मैकडोनल्ड्स का एग्जांपल जिससे आपको दे रही थी, that regardless which outlet you go, you are going to get the same quality of burger. The patty will be grilled accordingly, the fries will be of similar taste as well as the
Taste.
crispiness. It's not going to get impacted. So the operator who is making those, doesn't matter which operator come in, the end result will be there in the similar fashion. It's not going to get changed because outlet is different or the operator is different. That's what the solid system is all about. And MSME needs to adopt that. They need to bring structure and the rhythm around how they work so that it is not about people dependent, it's about system dependent. And once the MSME adopt this mindset, not to dehumanize, as I said, but to make it
Yeah.
resilient. When your business run like a well-tuned machine, any operator can step in, and performance doesn't depend upon personalities.
We talked about structure, we talked about trust, we talked about clarity. So, any founder who is listening right now to us, what is the immediate step, immediate action items they can take so they can start building these kind of systems which MNCs use and which can really help them scale their business?
So, no matter how big your team is, you still need to think like a CEO. Take any department that is most dependent upon you. You are the center point of that department. Identify what area collapses if you are not around. अगर आपकी एब्सेंस में वहां पे काम रुक रहा है या आपका कोई स्किलफुल रिसोर्स है, उसकी एब्सेंस में द वर्क इज गेटिंग स्टॉप, आइडेंटिफाई दोज एरियाज. Document how decisions are getting made. Define your checkpoints. Who report, when, and how. ये बहुत essential part है. If you're going to document that part, then you're able to train your second line. Let them step up before that skilled resource step out. or you step out of the system. That's how you build delegation without the dependency.
I understand that delegation is not about losing control, but it is about redesigning. As we talked about, that CEO is the director, CEO gives the
Yeah.
direction. But on the
Hmm.
other hand, founder sometimes operates like operations head. They want to stick their head into everything.
Yeah, so अगर आपका business slow हो जाए when you're not around, so then it's not about a trust issue. It's not about that your team is not trustworthy or anything. It's about you have a system issue. You need to fix the system in your business first, regardless of the scale of the business. If systems are addressed, the backbone is addressed, then you can multiply it.
That's where MNCs get right. They
Yeah.
give key to the system instead of holding it and giving it to a person. That's why I believe, like you mean by trust into systems, not people, because people can design, people can make excuses, but systems, once we set up that, it is going to flow like a well-oiled machine. So for that, we need structure, clarity, trust.
So yes, that's what make MNC unstoppable. And you know what? MSME can do the same by building system that empowers their people, not dependent upon them. So this is exactly what we cover in our Scale Ready CEO bootcamp with founders just like you to help them build the system right, just right for your team, your vision, and your ecosystem, but drive from MNC playbook. So if you have missed episode one, I suggest go back because that sets up the entire mindset. And in next week, we are going to cover visibility without micromanagement, how a CEO stays in control without hovering. So I'm Ganika, and this is the Scale Ready CEO podcast. Thanks for listening. And remember, delegation is not about stepping away. It's about stepping up and be the real CEO what your business needs. Bye for now.